I'm Maritza, Cayo.
I'm Chiara, Miniconi.
And this is The Screening List, a podcast where we talk about all things movies, especially the ones you need to be seeing. Today we are discussing the Oscars, acquisitions, and everything in between.
And there is no better way to start than with a little controversy. Days away from the 98th Academy Awards, let's discuss a statement made by one of the nominees, Timothée Chalamet, that has sparked quite the outrage in the artistic community.
I don't want to be working in ballet or opera or, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this anymore. Yeah. All respect to the ballet and opera people out there.
Sheesh, my boy.
There's a lot to unpack there, and I think obviously we'll talk about the Oscars in a little bit and what that means for him and for the race and for the campaign, but there's a few interesting things to unpack here. When we talk about outrage, obviously we talk about the outrage that has come from the ballet and the opera community.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone that's support, we love you.
Yes.
We love you, ballet, we love the opera, big time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a big part of the outrage is that he's implying that our art form and movies are better.
Yes.
Than ballet and the opera. And
yes.
Ballet and the opera are old and stuffy and things of the past.
Yeah.
That's where the outrage comes from, right?
Yeah.
What I think is interesting here is, why is it seen this way, ballet and opera? It's seen this way because most people in their lifetime will never see an opera or ballet. Why? Because they can't afford it,
yep.
Which is not true with movies, right? It's way more accessible. What I think is quite ironic is that as an industry, as a community, in the past few months, we've been very worried because for the past few years, we've known that movie theaters the attendance was declining,
mm-hmm.
And it was something that a lot of people were being priced out of. But now, with everything that has been happening with Warner Brothers and Netflix and Paramount, which we'll talk about in a second, we kind of know what will kill movie theaters, and we kind of are closer than ever to the ballet, the opera, or the theater community.
Yeah, and I do think this is something that we've noticed, not even in these last months with this merger looming above all of our heads, but even before that, movies are just simply getting so expensive. To go on a date now with just you and another person, it can cost you upwards of $40 to $50 just for 2 movie tickets. That used to be the whole date, And I think it's I grew up watching movies that were $1. I had a $1 movie theater next to my house that closed down 15 years ago because that business model was not going to survive, and it was just kind of like a precursor for what we're dealing with now. And I think that if we don't find a solution on how to bring people back to the movies and create a more accessible theater model, we will be finding ourselves with the continuous death of theaters across America.
What's interesting is when he says, hey, I don't want to fight to hey, let's keep this thing alive. That's what we're doing. We're fighting for the audiences, I guess, is what we're trying to do, because we can't. Part of the reason why it's not working is because theaters are stuck in those leases that they can't afford, right? Mm-hmm. Which their only way out of it is to raise the price on audiences.
Yep.
And at the same time, for us, movies are becoming more and more expensive to make. You used to be able to make a movie for $500,000, which is still possible, but they're, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's they're miracles, those movies. Making a movie is already a miracle. That's a triple unicorn if you want,
yes.
Right? And let's say you do make your movie for $500,000. The best way for you to make money or to survive out of making a movie today is not even to put it in theaters, right? It's to stream it.
Yep.
Streamers will not consider acquisition of any movie if it's below $1 million because they're afraid of quality.
Yep.
So the issue here is that we're pricing out our audiences, which is exactly what happened with ballet, with opera, with theater.
Well, it's also with ballet and with opera and with theater in certain countries, not here, those arts were supported by investors. Those are quote unquote high arts that have always been funded by the royals or the governments to which they get funds from to continually run. The Hollywood industry was never built on the foundation culturally of like, this is a cultural necessity for everyone to be involved in and to take part in and to have discussions around, right? It was a business. This is a business, and this business needs to keep making money. And therefore, now we're alienating the thing that makes this business money.
Actually, it's funny you'd say that, because part of the thing, right, is that it's too expensive today to make movies in the United States. The studio system has collapsed. Like now, shooting a movie in a studio is more expensive than exporting an entire crew to Europe to shoot it. Why is that? Because most European countries protect filmmaking that way. Governments protect the fact that there will always be money to make movies. So that's why you might, fly a bunch of Americans to like some European country that is going to give you like a 30% tax incentive so you can shoot your movie. Yeah. So I guess, to your point.
It all ties back to what we as Americans are putting our values in constantly. And I don't want it to be like the cliche of like, if you follow your heart, the money will come. But I do kind of believe that as like, we need to kind of like figure out how to prioritize the thing that is important and magical about this art form. Making films is an art form and needs to be treated as such and invested in that way. But, when you have a bunch of like corporate CEO billionaires who are calling the shots of how they want to make money and make their shareholders profits, of course, the system is it's just one cog in this very broken system that is the movie industry right now.
I think part of what's confusing for a lot of people, and especially audience members, is, as far as a lot of people are concerned, movies are coming out, there's a lot of money being invested in movies, right? So what does that mean? And a great way, I think, for us to discuss all of that and try to make sense of it and give some clarity to people is to take the Warner Brothers, Netflix, Paramount acquisition as an example.
Let's talk about it.
So December 4th, 2025, Netflix entered a merger agreement to acquire Warner Brothers for $82.7 billion. That acquisition means that Netflix would have inherited all of Warner Brothers' catalog and IPs and everything that Warner Brothers owns, including HBO, for example, or
Cartoon Network.
So many things. Yeah. So that's where we start.
And then Paramount stepped in with a hostile bid takeover, which accumulated to a $108.4 billion all-cash tender offer. At this point, Warner Brothers was petitioning to their shareholders essentially to not take this bid, and it was kind of up in the air for a minute, and Warner Brothers said that Netflix was, in fact, the best offer, and they were moving forward with that.
Just for context, that all happened within 3 days. So
that's true.
Since we're trying to make sense of it for a little bit, that this was the equivalent for the filmmaking community of, we knew that we were going to die, but we didn't know how, right? So first Netflix, which was really, we'll unpack that, but that was a lot. Then Paramount comes, which for us was really, whichever way this goes, bad. This is not great. Very bad. This was like a 72 hours of like complete
torment, suffering, torture,
delirium, all of it. So now let's jump ahead to this year and to February 2026.
February 2026, Netflix bows out. Essentially, Warner Brothers asked Netflix to match Paramount's initial hostile bid takeover of $108.4 billion. And Netflix said, nah, that's too much money. This is a good deal, but it's not a good deal for as much money as it's going to cost us in the end. And so they bow out. Now Warner Brothers owes Netflix a $2.8, I believe, billion breakup fee. And now Warner Brothers inks a deal with Paramount for $110 billion.
Okay. So now we have all the information. I think let's start with the beginning. Okay, let's start with December 4th. Netflix goes in for Warner. Why does this create panic? Why are people worried?
I think people are worried because moving all of these studios into one fashion, like under one entity, one is scary because you're losing opportunity. As a filmmaker and also as a viewer, you're losing a diverse field of opportunity of things that can be made. Because, hey, I can go to Netflix and they can say no, but then I'll go to Warner Brothers and they'll say yes. And the whole model I think that this business was built on before kind of everything started to merge with like Disney and Fox and Amazon and MGM is just like there was a sea of opportunity, and there was also kind of like columns or buckets, for instance, of like, oh, this is what an HBO movie looks like. This is what a Hulu movie looks like. This is what a this movie looks like. And now it's kind of just like this amalgamation of what the fuck, you know? And I do think that these studios kind of just like, we're coming to the point where we're also like moving, especially in streaming, moving back to a cable model where everything is kind of just merging together. And I think these studios are pushing out so much content, so many things. There's not really a thing that they all kind of do well and that's their thing. So it's stripping a lot of competition, creativity, and opportunity for this like new generation, I would say, of filmmakers and just like filmmaking in general.
I think also for context, especially since COVID, the industry has had like very rough years. And obviously it started before that. It started when streamers, you know, started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But post-COVID, our industry really, really took a big hit.
Yeah.
And after that, you know, it collapsed. We had to reinvent the business model, and it was a very scary time. And then you have Warner Brothers that has this slate that is composed with Sinners and One Battle After Another and Weapons, etc., right? Which signals what? Which signals investing again in original ideas, original IP, new filmmakers. I mean, that was the hope that everyone was looking for. And for a year, it was all about seeing how those movies were going to perform, and that was going to signal how we tried to bounce back from there, right?
Yeah.
And then Warner Brothers, our hope, what happens? Netflix goes to try to acquire it, which means what, by the way? This slate outperformed in the box office, okay?
Yes.
Those movies made people like get out of their home and pay to go see a movie, right?
Yeah.
Which was exceptional. And now we have Netflix that comes in, which Ted Sarandos has been very, very open about the fact that he doesn't think that the theater-going experience is particularly magical.
Yeah.
And I quote, Lawrence of Arabia on a phone versus on a big screen is the same. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yikes.
But, you know, I don't, that's...
No, we totally do not agree.
Listen,
but
come on.
When Netflix was acquiring Warner Brothers initially, Ted was just like, hey, we're still going to give the theatrical release, but a lot of people were very doubtful that was going to happen.
The problem was not even that. It's like, why, if you already pay for a Netflix subscription,
Absolutely.
okay, and you know that there's a movie in the theater, why are you going to pay an extra $20 to the membership you're already paying for, knowing that if you just wait a tiny bit, you're going to get it?
Yeah.
You're going to get it in the comfort of your home.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? So that's part of the issue, is that there are some movies today that, like, if you want to watch them, you have no choice but to go to the theater, or you have to wait for months.
Yeah.
Netflix buying Warner Brothers, no matter what they said, that was the implication, right? So that was part of already, you know, if we're talking about the panic and about all of that, and well, that was like the big issue with Netflix. And to just wrap up, like you said, there was this problem of like, we had no more choice, right? Netflix would eventually, you know, like become like a monopoly, which not only would decide which movies get to be made, but also how people get paid and how much. Which already, it's so hard, you know?
And, you know, now the top of the line unions are about to enter into negotiations for their next slate of contracts. And this deal will inevitably impact this.
What about Paramount?
Paramount it's similarly set up in a similar fashion. They're trying to buy Warner Brothers for the IP. They're trying to buy it for what they can do with the Batman and all the things that this legacy movie studio has. And I think similarly, it's set up with its own streaming platform. But David Ellison is making some big promises. He's saying that Paramount and Warner Brothers in this new configuration will be making a total of 30 movies a year, which, big sigh.
Big sigh.
A big sigh, because that feels entirely unachievable. It feels crazy. And I do think, like, even now in our current slate of films and how the cookie gets broken up as far as budgets for these films, like, movies are being kicked to the side in their studios. You know, the amount of money that's going to distribute one movie is not going to distribute another. So now you're saying we're expanding this slate of films to 15 per studio. Films are, I feel like now they're going to Paramount and Warner Brothers to die. Most of them.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's kind of the issue with a slate that big, right? Is that you have to send some of your slate to the slaughterhouse. You have to know that some of those movies are going to bomb, right? And not give it the proper marketing or the proper push that it might need.
Yeah. It feels very ambitious and adding to a current market and industry that is unsustainable, further making it unsustainable. Not to mention, like, Paramount is backed by the Ellisons. If you don't know who the Ellisons are, they're a billionaire conservative family that bought Skydance last year. It just acquired TikTok. So now it's going to have TikTok, HBO, CNN, CBS, everything. Everything. Like, the head, I believe, producer or somebody of CBS just stepped down because they were getting pushback. Like, this family is very much aligned with this current administration, and people's fears specifically around Paramount acquiring Warner Brothers is like, who is going to get to make movies? Not just making movies, period, that will go to the theaters, but who is going to be given the opportunity to make movies? And I think under this administration that is very right-leaning, it is a huge concern of, like, are we going to get a diverse slate of storytelling anymore?
And I think beyond movies also, you know, like you just talked about the fact that at this point the same family would own, you know, Paramount, Warner, TikTok, news channel. So it's storytelling all around. Basically, in one way or another, no matter who gets to make what, the stories all come from the same place.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is, especially when there's less choices for a filmmaker to go, are the stories all going to come from the same place, or is it going to be diversified or not? That's the question, right?
Yeah. It's a scary time to be in this industry. I think it's a scary time to be a filmmaker with this merger. The things that I know to be true, there's a lot of money on the table right now. A lot of money being that this deal is inked on paper now, but it still has to go through regulations and has to go to the antitrust committee, which it will probably most likely go through because the Ellisons are very in knit with the Trump administration. And
so it's too much money. It's too much.
It's
money.
too much.
It's America.
It's too much money not to raise. Red flags as well, though. I do think that there is pushback from the state, like the state of California. The state of California's Attorney General, Rob Bonita, states, and I quote, Paramount Warner Bros. Is not a done deal. These two Hollywood titans have not cleared regulatory scrutiny. So there is minor pushback, but it's really going to come down to the DOJ, and the DOJ is in Trump's pockets. So that's really what the reality is feeling like right now. But there is a chance that if the deal doesn't go through because of regulatory scrutiny, that Paramount will owe Warner Brothers $7 billion if the deal falls through. So again, lots of money on the table. And there's the fact that the combination of these two studios will accumulate to a $78 billion debt. That means a lot of cuts are coming. A lot of people are about to lose their jobs. Mm-hmm. We're going to be working, I think, as an industry from this place of scarcity, of getting in the green, for lack of a better term.
When are we not? When are we not?
That's true.
Do you know the joke? Do you know the joke? How to be a millionaire in the film industry?
No, I don't.
Start as a billionaire. Like, when are we not? That's part of it. No, I think that's for sure. The one thing I will say, because like it's sounding all very grim, is that, you know, one thing that was clear is whichever way it went, Netflix or Paramount, that was not going to be great, right?
No.
The reality is it hasn't been great for a while, and what we're experiencing now, it was about to happen. And now we know, right? In those times, that's the best time for innovation. And that's the best time for like us as an industry and for the independent like filmmaking community to create new ways to reach our audience and for people to see our movies. Because one of the issues we already have is that making a movie already a miracle. Then getting people to see your movie, that's insane.
Yes.
That's insane.
It's very hard.
So we already have those problems, okay? Now we know which way to go. But I think that's going to bring a lot of innovation. I think also, as a filmmaker, maybe you'd agree, I think that we leave a lot of money on the table already. The way we make movies today is too expensive and we waste a lot of money and we just need to rethink it because nothing is working anymore.
Yes.
And what is going to happen now, with Paramount, with Netflix and all of it is just going to create a bigger fracture that was already there between, blockbuster movies and independent filmmaking, and original IPs and ideas. So, there are a lot of things still to be looking forward to and new voices. I think that we can't even imagine what's coming in great ways too.
Yeah, I think like whenever there is destruction, there's obviously the opportunity for innovation and creation, and this time will be very similar to before. The industry is going to be reinventing itself and things are going to be new and different in ways that we haven't seen in a while. Things are just going to change for everybody, and we're all going to have to learn how to navigate this new landscape of this industry. If you're picturing your career as a filmmaker, as an actor, as a DP, in the traditional ways of which there always was in getting there, you need to rethink what that looks like now. We as filmmakers need to invest in each other now more than ever, because getting in the ways that we used to they're just no longer there. They're just no longer there, and it feels like we're having to scale a mountain and we don't have the equipment or the tools to do so. And like you said, you kind of have to be a billionaire to get into this industry, because then at least you can do it yourself. But I feel like us regular ass folks who went to school for this and who have invested our time and our love and our energy for this, there's now more than ever than to invest in your community. Really hone in on who you are and what you have to say and what you have to add into this current state of the world. This is a time for focus. This is a time for kind of also just taking a sledgehammer and going at the thing. Like, this is where we are right now.
Yeah, I think to your point, it's true that everything that used to be true about the way to approach this is no longer true. The great news is that it does level the playing field.
Yeah.
People that have been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years, and I'm talking here about also the gatekeepers, they know just as much at this point than people that are starting off, because everything is yet to build. And we need to innovate and throw things at the walls and see what sticks, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And then the next thing is invest in your community, like it's very easy to forget that this is a collaborative art form. Yep. And that one singular person can rarely do everything. Now, having said that, I think the future of filmmaking and independent filmmaking is we're all gonna have to be Sean Baker, okay? That's basically we're all gonna have to be Sean Baker, okay? And that means don't wait around on other people to know more than you to push your project forward, okay? You need to understand, you can't just think about story anymore. You need to think from the get-go, who's going to see my movie? How am I going to make it accessible? How do I not make money, but survive from making this movie, from giving years? Because that's what it is when you make a movie. You're giving years, let's say half a decade, from the beginning to the end.
Yep.
You need to think this through, and we need to educate ourselves more than we ever have, I think. Just this is not the 90s anymore.
Yes.
It's not the 90s. You don't get to be like, oh, I want to make a movie, and someone's like, hey, here's $20 million, go make a movie. So
it's different. And maybe this is for the better, as far as I think we're really trying to find the silver lining in this pile of shit that we've been handed as we enter into this industry. We must make this more sustainable. And I don't know how, I don't have the answer yet. We will have to find it together. I just hope that there is more room in this new era for opportunity for us all, the more that we invest into each other.
I think we're going to have to make room. I think we're going to have to make room, we're trying to illustrate here how confusing and chaotic this all has been. And what's funny is, there are the facts, but a lot of this is still speculation. I mean, we thought end of September, that was it, okay? We're trying to wrap our head around it, and right as we were getting used to it, bam, here you go.
Yeah.
So however this conversation felt, that's how we feel. That I think that's as accurate a representation as one can give, because I am not sure what's going on.
Yeah, and I think also this next 2-3 years we won't. Going through the regulatory practices that needs to happen with this deal, if it does go through, what is this transition period going to look like with Paramount combining with Warner Brothers? What will their slate look like? This deal is going to take some time to go into effect, and in that time things are really going to be changing, and we are going to be flexible and adapting with it, is the hope. But
I think it's very simple. When we talk about cuts, what's scary is that whoever's not flexible, whoever doesn't adapt, is not going to last in this new environment, right? And the truth is that for now things are going to change every 6 months. But here's the great thing. All of this, all of our art form, our industry, it's make-believe, it's smoke and mirrors, it's imagination. So if we remember that, let's just have enough imagination to make it through, and we'll be fine. And really is that simple.
Yeah. Amen.
So now, let's talk about something a little more fun.
Let's talk about the Oscars.
Yes. Let's go back for a second. Let's talk about our leading man, just because.
Well, let me set the scene a little bit. Voting officially ended this past Thursday, March 5th, concluding one of the most exciting award season in years. So Oscar voting has changed a little bit, but Chiara's looking at me and it's cracking me up because she really doesn't think this matters, and it might not. But the Academy has now required all voting members to watch all nominated films to be eligible to vote.
Or else.
So you're like, how are they enforcing this? Well, let me tell you. So essentially, there's this voting portal. All the nominations are there. You have to watch them for you to vote in that category to appear for you. But you can bypass that by saying, oh, I watched this in the theaters, or I watched this at a festival or a screening or whatever. But there's no way to prove that. It's still, that part of it is still on an honor system. So in turn, this is still very much on an honor system. So that may or may not affect how voting happens this year. I'm just throwing that information in there because this award season has been really unexpected, and I think a lot of categories are still up in the air. And as we're kind of leaving this Warner Paramount conversation, I have to say that Warner Brothers has 30 nominations this year at the Oscars, which is just a testament to the slate that they had this year. The hope that we all had.
The hope that delivered.
But, and I think this is also a great point that just because you have 30 nominations doesn't mean that you're making money. Warner Brothers did make a lot of money this year, but they have a lot of debt.
Awards and going the award circuit way means going against box office numbers.
Yes.
Apart from F1, but I don't even want to talk about F1. I refuse. Actually, I refuse.
So now that we kind of have the lay of the land of what's happening this festival.
The land was laid. The land was laid.
Now that we have the lay of the land of kind of what happened during this award season, let's go into the categories. For our first category and all the categories we discussed, we'll discuss kind of our logical reality pick of who we think is going to win, and then our heart's pick of who we think we want to win. So let's start off with actor in a leading role. The nominees are Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Now, coming off of the ballet and opera, I do think Timothée Chalamet is out of this category.
A week ago, and I think that's what's been exciting this year is a week ago. To me, it was his. He was going home with the Oscar. I know we disagreed on that, but for me, a week ago, it was his. And now I'm I don't...
I didn't agree with that. Just because he's only won during this award season. He won the Golden Globe and he won the Critics' Choice Award, and he hasn't really been back on stage since the Critics' Choice Award. Coming off of Marty Supreme's marketing campaign that he did for that film, and I think he did leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths from that, and a lot of people didn't like the movie. And I just think that Marty Supreme in general, if I'm talking about this film, Marty Supreme would be the film of the year if it literally was distributed back in like 2014. I think the landscape of this film right now, just with everything that's happening in the world and all the assholes who are running all the countries and getting us in all the wars and, you know, all of the shit that's happening, all the assholes that are in charge of these mergers and all of this. Yeah. Like, this is not the year for an asshole film. And that's kind of what Marty Supreme feels like to me. Like, his character is not very likable. And I think, like, right now in this current state, Americans want somebody to like root for, and so I think that's why that film didn't do well with a lot of people.
Maybe, but girl, tell me that in the end of that movie, when they're playing the ping pong thing, tell me you weren't a little excited.
I think the movie, like as a movie, the movie is really well done. The score is amazing. The performances are great. I thought a lot of the acting performances are good. The casting director was amazing. Shout out to Jennifer. I love you, girl. But I just don't think that this was the year for this movie. Like, I think if any other time you would have put this movie in, it would have done so much better than it is doing now. I think just like our consciousness as a society, particularly I'm talking about Americans. Internationally, I don't think it's the same. Well, maybe internationally because we're pissing a lot of people off. I think like this movie deals with also a lot of American exceptionalism. And I think like this is just not the time for this film. Not to say that it's not a good movie, but it's just, I just don't think it's the time for this film.
Fair enough. For me, it's like it's art, right?
Yeah.
So if talking about it in the way that of the Oscar campaign and how people are reacting and how it was received, fair enough. Now, for me, the way I see it is like, whether it's Marty Supreme or Uncut Gems or Goodfellas, you know, like that's... Those are the characters. Yeah. They're unlikable men that just like grab everything they can grab and are a little charming about it and should succeed, but they don't because they get in their own way because they just suck, right? Yeah. That's the best way of putting it. Like I genuinely enjoyed the movie. I did. I think that like the marketing campaign, you know, there's a moment where you gotta know when to quit and that, like just like Marty often, that's the thing, that's the irony of this whole thing, is that the whole marketing campaign, he said it himself, he was Marty and he identified himself a lot. And what did Marty do? Marty was going to get everything he wanted and he pushed it too far and he was too cocky. And here's what happened. So in a way, that's really exciting.
He really played out this film in the Oscar campaign for this film.
But all that to say, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed that universe. I understand. I enjoy it. So, I know you didn't, but
personally, for me, it was not the movie for me. But big shout out to him and his journey.
I'm into toxic like characters. Like I love toxic characters.
And I feel
love that.
The Academy also loves toxic characters. Like they love a villain, you know? But I don't think that Timothée was the villain that they wanted this year. And all that to say, I do think that with Michael B. Jordan winning at SAG really positions him well in this category, because let me also lay out the land of who has won this award over the course of the award ceremony. So Wagner Moore won the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Drama. Timothée won for Best Actor in a Comedy. Don't ask me questions if Marty Supreme is a comedy or not. I don't understand either. Anyways,
it's a little funny.
It is. But,
it's a little funny.
But I was just, it could be just as much of a drama as it, you know, whatever. The Golden Globes are kind of neither here nor there. Then Timothée Chalamet won for Marty Supreme at the Critics' Choice Awards. Then with the BAFTAs, that really threw a wrench and everything, and Robert Aramayo won for I Swear at the BAFTAs for Best Lead Actor in a Feature Film. I Swear comes to, I think, distribution in America in April or March. It's not up for an Oscar, but it was distributed in Europe, so that's why it was up for a BAFTA. But he won that award. And then at the SAG Awards, Michael B. Jordan won. So this is like...
It's the Actors Award, actually.
Oh my God, please, cry me a river.
Kristen Bell is gonna come to your house and like...
Please Thanks, Kristen. Leave me out of this.
She won't.
There's too much for me to keep up with. It's SAG. Everybody's talking about this card. It's SAG. Anyways, so this category and a lot of the categories still is so up in the air.
Just like the industry. Everything is up in the air. We don't know. Basically, we don't know what we're talking about. We're going to speculate for the next hour and a half.
Yes, exactly. So, but I'm going to put my hat in the ring for the I want pick. And I honestly do think the reality pick of Michael B. Jordan is the last person that people see on stage giving an acceptance speech, campaigning in a way for this film, for his position in receiving this award. I do think that Michael B. Jordan is more likely to me than maybe 3 weeks ago. And I think it's either him. I still kind of also, if Wagner Moore wins in this category, I would not be upset by that. I think that The Secret Agent is an amazing film. He was amazing in it. I think this was kind of it was a real important and amazing moment in his career to be able to act in something that is in his native language, representative of his home country, and to be awarded and win for that is incredible. So if Wagner Moore wins, I'm not gonna be mad about that. But I do think this is a Michael B. Jordan award at this point.
I think so too. Honestly, a week ago, I would have told you I wouldn't have been mad if it was Michael B. Jordan, Wagner Moura, or Timothée Chalamet. Now I'm Timothée, I'm sorry. For ballet, for the opera, you're out. Okay? It's okay. You'll have other movies. We know. We all know.
Yes.
Now if it's Michael or Wagner, I'm okay with that. But I have to say my heart goes to Michael B. Jordan for that one.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to actor in a supporting role. The nominees are Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo for Sinners, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. Who do you got for this one, girl?
I'm going full European on that one. For me, it's Stellan all the way. It's Stellan all the way. I think, did he play himself a little bit in Sentimental Values? The rest of the Skarsgård clan has heavily implied that. But for me, just for a little bit of context, Stellan Skarsgård, he had a stroke a little bit before shooting Dune 2, and which made it that now he can't memorize any of his lines. So basically they developed a way for him to have an earpiece, which means that every time he's acting, he's being fed his lines and discovering them for the first time, which leads to...
it's an amazing story.
Attends, that's the beginning. Then the guy delivers a beautiful performance, and also we gotta also consider, we're gonna talk about the other nominees, but we also gotta consider the opportunity of how many times one person can get that award. So if you're asking me, I'm saying Stellan Skarsgård all the way. But now,
I do think, just to set up the category specifically, who has won in supporting actor? Stellan did win the Golden Globe. And then at Critics' Choice, Jacob Elordi took home for Frankenstein. And then Sean Penn has won both the BAFTA and the SAG Award in this category. Do I think that this kind of locks it in for him? Yes. But...
Who's Sean Penn?
Sean Penn.
I wouldn't be mad. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad. I know.
I have a lot of feelings about this film in particular that I will discuss at a later date.
Honestly, I feel like that's how we're talking about the movies, at this point. So we've already established Marty Supreme, and you and I, we don't agree.
Yes.
Let's get them all out of the way, shall we? So One Battle After Another, we gotta do them. Yes. We gotta talk about them.
Yes.
So
as far as Sean Penn's performance in One Battle After Another, he did give a great performance, but he also didn't show up to both the BAFTAs and the SAG Awards. I don't think he wants to have this award. I think he wants to give it to Stellan Skarsgård. I'm sorry,
but let's be real. He showed up for the Golden Globes, smoked a big-ass cigarette in the middle of the room, was called a leather bag by the host. Would you come back? I think he did what he had to do.
That's true. I think he will be there the night of the Oscars, but I also think that him probably... in this wants it to also go to Stellan Skarsgård.
Fair enough.
If we're talking about opportunity, I do think that's important here. My heart's pick, And I honestly think who could actually be a shoo-in to win this award will be Delroy Lindo. And I will say this again because I do think that for him too, it is an opportunity. Like Delroy Lindo has had a 50+ year career, and this is the first time he has ever been nominated.
And he was exceptional.
He was exceptional.
He was exceptional, yeah.
Okay? I think that this is the first time he's ever been nominated for an actor. I think him accepting the award for the best ensemble at the SAG, him being the talking head of that was kind of like his moment of people remembering that he is in this category, he is up to be voted for. And I think that if we're also talking about opportunity, he is also somebody who might not have the opportunity to be nominated for something again.
I think that's very fair. I think the one thing that makes it that I'm right though is if we talk about contribution, Stellan Skarsgård has contributed like 17 actors to our industry, okay? It's not 17, but it might as well be. So I think just for that, like, give it to him. Because, like, I mean, you know, pops out a kid every year. Like, please. I think just, like, create a category just for that. You give some to the Culkin, you give some to the Skarsgård, like, and you're done, you know?
Well, yeah. So, okay. So those are our picks for that. I think we can move on. So now we have actress in the leading role, and the nominees are Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson for Song Song Blue, Renata Reinsva for Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone for Begonia. Now, let me lay the land for this category in particular. And the land is simply Jessie Buckley. She has dominated this award season and winning all of the lead actress awards this season.
And honestly, we love her for that.
We love, like, if you haven't seen Hamnet, please run, fly if you can to go see that film. I do think if it's still being shown in the theaters, which I think it is because it is Oscar season, so a lot of these films do come back into the theaters. If you can see this in theaters, please bring a buddy, bring a friend. You're going to need somebody to console you after it's over. But she gives a career performance. The movie in and of itself is so beautiful in its content, in its writing, in its editing, and it's quite frankly everything.
And Chloe Zhao is a poet.
And
we'll talk about that in a second.
We will talk about Chloe, but I truly believe that she deserves this award. Not to say that anybody else in this category doesn't, but Jessie Buckley, she is just... Have you seen the potential slander campaign against Jessie for this award that people are talking about on the internet?
You know, I saw a little bit, but I was like, there's nothing.
They're coming for her and saying that she might not win the Oscar because there's a interview that is being resurfaced during her marketing campaign for Hamnet of her and Paul Mescal in an interview, and she's being like, I hate cats. I was dating my husband before he was my husband, and I told him it would be me or the cat, and obviously it was me. And so people are like, oh my gosh, she hates cats, she can't win the Oscar. I was like, y'all, I'm gonna hold your hand audibly while I say this. There are so many things to talk about. I need you to leave Jessie Buckley alone because she's winning this award, period.
Enough of it. What is that? Like, I'm sorry. We've just been talking for God knows how long about everything we have to deal with to maybe, you know, like have a chance at doing this, right?
Yes.
And now you say what? You know, that's what's terrifying to me. Because if I manage to make it through, if that's the level, if it's the cat, I'm French, okay? Like, I walk around, I offend people, it's in my nature. Like, let's leave the woman alone.
Please.
I think she's absolutely fantastic. She's an amazing actress. It's well deserved. It's a gift that she gave us with her performance, and I think she's gonna keep giving.
Yes, I do. I think she is my heart pick and my reality pick for this category. I do want to give a special shout out to Rose Byrne because I love If I Had Legs, I Kicked You, and she did win the Golden Globe for the comedy category, and I think it was well deserved. I think she has a phenomenal performance in that, and if you haven't seen it, it is on, I believe, like Hulu or maybe Apple TV right now,
or HBO.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere out there, and you can watch it, and I recommend that you do. So moving on, we have actress in a supporting role. The nominees: Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Inga Eibstadter Lilios for Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, Wunmi Musaku for Sinners, and Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another. This category is very much also up in the air. The lay of the land for this is Teyana Taylor won the Golden Globe, Amy Madigan won the Critics' Choice Award, Wunmi Musaku won the BAFTA Award, which kind of makes sense, and then Amy Madigan also won at the SAG Awards, and she had the cutest speech. Oh my god, I loved it so much. Did you see her? She did the Weapons Children's Run.
Yeah, I love her. I love her. I love her.
What a joy to have her in this lifetime. Technically, if we're looking at the facts of it, Amy Madigan has won twice, so she probably would be the shoo-in for this. But in my heart pick, I want Wunmi to win for Sinners because I want everybody black to win. That's just the truth of my reality. But I also love Amy Madigan. I loved her performance in Weapons. She was absolutely incredible. And I think that if she were to win, I would be obviously happy with that. I think she's also, this is the only Weapons nomination in the Oscars slate completely. So like, if they take one little thing home, I would be so happy for them in that.
I think that's fair. So far, what I want to happen, what I think will happen is like kind of the same. But here it's hard. I want Amy Madigan to win. I think if I have to pick, because she is not the outsider, you know, it's deserved. Like, I mean, for so many reasons, but just because she's the odd choice. And the odd choice for the Academy is what I mean. So I think that's why I want her to win. I don't know why I still think Teyana Taylor might be the one to bring it home.
She might be still in this race, but I think she's kind of faded out since she hasn't won anything else. Like, we have moments of her on the red carpet, but we haven't really seen her. We haven't seen her get on stage, say a speech, be able to like be like, you know, I'm so thankful for this movie, for this opportunity. You know, when you don't get that, people forget. And I feel like she's kind of trailing behind me, especially after the SAG Awards. And I do think that specifically in this category, and like I said before, the Oscars love a villain. So I think Amy Madigan is well positioned to win this in this category. And I wouldn't be upset with that. I really wouldn't be.
I would really be so happy with that.
Yeah.
And not because I'm rooting for everybody that's white. Because I'm like, you say that, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna say the same, you know, like, and that's how it works. But because I love a villain, I'm twisted in different ways.
But yeah, I think I would say like, you know, 2-3 months ago when Teyana Taylor won that Golden Globe, she was a shoo-in for this award, but I'm not sure that she is anymore. Especially after Amy's speech, I think she might have this in the bag, to be real, y'all. She might have it in the bag.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, like how many of the voters watch horror movies? I don't know.
I mean, if, you know, to bring back who's checking if people are watching this movie, I think just based off of Amy Madigan winning and her getting on stage and talking about this speech and calling out her fellow actors, and, you know, she's done her time. If we're also talking about opportunity here, Amy Madigan has been doing this for a long time and she hasn't won anything before. So,
well, that's why I'm rooting for her. That's why I'm like, go ahead. And she scared the shit out of me.
Terrified.
And anyone who scared the shit out of me like that deserves an award.
Yeah, I think, you know, honestly, I think it's between her. I do think it's between her and Wunmi. So we'll see what happens with that. Moving on, let's talk about casting. This is a new category for the Oscars, and it's about fucking time, because if you know me, you know that I believe that casting is 85% of the storytelling. To me, it's what takes a great movie to a spectacular, amazing film. For the nominees, we have Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, and Sinners. Now, we don't really know how to predict this category because it is the first year, so we don't really know like what of the award circuit will kind of like contribute to people voting in this category. But I do think some important things to know is that Sinners won Best Ensemble at the SAG Awards. Also at the Casting Society Awards, Francine won for Sinners as well. So I do think that if there are any other predictors, that this potentially is probably going to her. And I think maybe SAG will be the biggest predictor because I think everybody is viewing that. Not everybody can see the Casting Society Awards. To me, I think my heart pick and the reality of who's going to actually win this category is probably Sinners.
I think one of the things to consider that like there's so I mean, there's so many things, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you look at Marty Supreme and the casting of Marty Supreme, what's interesting is that they went out and casted people that were not necessarily actors, you know, which is one thing, right? Then there's like, if you talk about casting directors, like discovering new talent, you know, and possibly casting kids, and then just also casting the best performers for the best parts, because at the end of the day, you watch a movie, you're with that one performer, that one character for the entire ride. So casting is everything. That's the one thing you cannot fix. Like, we all know the sentence, like, fix it in post. You can't do that. And also, you know, part of the thing is, will that award be paired with performances? Like, and what I mean is, like, if a movie wins most of like the performances, you know, like whether it's, how do you say,
actor or actress,
or supporting, will that match, and will that mean in the future that we can predict who's gonna win best casting? So I think we'll see. I think you have more opinion than me on who's gonna win. So I'm gonna follow you.
I think also like how this category will affect other categories. Like, I do think like the link between, if they win for casting, somebody does have to win for best supporting or best actor or best actress. But also in the reverse, like, will casting also affect best picture? Because SAG has best ensemble, and usually best ensemble is a good prediction for who will win best picture. So as far as the history of that award and the links between them. So, like, I do think that whoever wins casting and how they position casting in the program at the Oscars will maybe give us a little inkling of who might be winning Best Picture. So I think all in all, this category is very exciting. And I think to all the nominees, congratulations. I think it's just well and long overdue.
It was about damn time.
It was about damn time. So
and next up is stunt. You know, that's the next category we're bringing forward. Because that also is about damn time.
You need it.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, look at that. Like, for the first time in forever, the ratings of the Academy Awards are going up. Meaning, like, you don't need to shorten that runtime. You don't. Okay, other category will be fine.
Yeah, just give it to me. I'm already seated here for the hullabaloo. Just give it to me.
Let's talk about cinematography.
So the nominees are Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
Okay, wow, what a big category. I think a good way to start talking about those nominees this year is to talk about One Battle After Another and Sinners, and the different ways we were able to see that movie.
For Sinners, you could see it. It says here you can see it in at least 6 main formats. So I have seen Sinners in IMAX 70mm, Ultra Panavision 70, standard 35mm are the formats that I have seen and that were accessible to me as far as living in New York. Not everybody has the opportunity to see IMAX 70mm. But you could also watch it in digital IMAX. So that's what I'm saying. There's so much happening as far as how this movie, which is a testament to how it was shot. Autumn, who is the DP for Sinners, the first woman and the first woman of color to ever be nominated for cinematography in the Academy's 98 years of existence. So it's truly incredible how many formats you could see this film in and how different it was to see them in those formats. As somebody who's seen Sinners like 5 times.
$200 in the movie. And look at you warrior.
Yes. And well, I have an AMC stub pass, which I highly recommend for seeing movies during award season. But I saw Sinners in literally every format that I could. And then I also watched it at home. And there is such a difference. There's such a difference in the feeling of the movie and the viewing of the movie in those different formats. And it's just like, it's so amazing to also just hear her talk about it and hear her nerd and geek out about it and her passion for her craft and how she even figured out how to take these shots because of the ways that it would be cut off in different formats. And she was really tailoring your viewing experience in every single format that you were seeing this film in. And it's honestly like shout out to you. That's so amazing and it's so awesome. And I just have a deep respect for her and the way that she approaches her craft and the way that she went about making this movie.
I mean, it was beautiful. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I think also, you know, if we're going to talk about the way we got to experience movies this year, One Battle After Another, that was the first time I ever saw a movie in VistaVision. That was incredible. That was so grandiose. Like, I was on the last row all the way to the top, and I swear to God, I felt like any single person showing up on screen like was big enough to like eat me. It was amazing. It was really, really amazing, and I'm very excited, whether it's for Sinners or for One Battle After Another, that, you know, it brought people out of their home and into the movie theaters and to experience, like, you know, those movies in like many different ways, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. So in this category, I feel like maybe you're tied between One Battle After Another or Autumn, or are you going for Autumn?
I'm going for Autumn.
Okay.
No, listen, I loved One Battle After Another. Like, I think the cinematography was amazing in so many ways. The River of Hills scene for me in One Battle After Another. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the movie, you'll know. You'll just know. And if you know, well, I guess you know, right?
Yeah.
So, but no. I think it's going to Sinners, and very, very quick shout out to Train Dreams. That cinematography was absolutely gorgeous. For people who haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. It's beautiful. It was shot on film, and I don't know. Just watch it. You'll know.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of rounds out our discussion about theaters and like being able to go to the theater and see movies. Like, what a year to have such amazing movies to go view and have a very specific viewing experience only in the theaters. It's just like kind of like a testament to like why we want them and why we need them. And we hope that this deal makes it possible that we can still have VistaVisions and Panavisions and all of the things.
you know, I'm going to say something like kind of controversial, but like, I think it's amazing, okay? And like, as a filmmaker, like, love film, love all of that. Are you kidding me? But at the same time, we spend a big part of this podcast talking about trying to make movies, how expensive it is, and the fact that this year, so many of the movies, of those big movies, right, that made it onto the screen were shot on film, which is really, really expensive, which is basically you explode your budget whenever you do that. I find it interesting, isn't it? That like we're struggling to get movie financed and we're all like panicking financially over the future of this industry. Yet, like, most of the movies that were nominated this year, when you look at cinematography, they were shot on the most expensive ways to shoot a movie. So isn't that interesting?
And they're both Warner Brothers movies, too.
Yeah. And Train Dreams, film, Netflix, right?
Yeah, Train Dreams is Netflix.
Listen, I love it, right? But isn't it ironic?
That you spent... I mean, it's ironic that they spent also, like, for Netflix to have a film shot on film is really ironic to me, because I feel like that's such a format that needs to be in the theater, not on your TV screen.
Well, yeah, part of the magic of shooting on film, which is why, you know, like Sinners and One Battle After Another, it's like, let's go, is the way you project it.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of shooting on film if you don't get to project it that way, right?
Yeah. So it's funny that Netflix even has a film nominated for cinematography shot on film.
Though, and I got to see it, you know, the proper way at the Paris Theater, and I'm so glad I did. But just like, I just think it's ironic. I'm just being a hater. But anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about writing. We have writing for Best Adapted Screenplay, and the nominees in that are Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Train Dreams. And for Adapted Screenplay, as far as like the awards circuit for this, Paul Thomas Anderson has been dominating in this category. Yeah, he's been absolutely dominating. He's probably going to take this home. And, you know, I have a lot of feelings about this movie, but I can't deny what's gonna happen. So congrats to Paul for winning this award. But Chloe Zhao is also nominated for this for Hamnet, and I truly believe that was a beautiful adaptation, and in my heart I want her to win, but I know that's not probably gonna happen.
To be fair, like, when you read like both books, because like both One Battle After Another and Hamnet are books, one is clearly, for me, harder to adapt than the other. And
Yeah.
that's one better after another. That book is not accessible. Okay, not at all. And I think it's funny that a book that was written like, I don't know exactly, but let's say like 20 years ago,
Yeah.
that it was adapted in a way that like sparks conversation. Let's put it this way.
Yes, for sure.
Sparks conversation.
For sure.
And you know, for me, the way I see it is like, it's not about a movie being relevant or right, or because a movie or art is a point of view, right? Like, who's to say what's wrong, what's right? But when you spark conversation, when people have a lot to say about a movie, positive or negative, usually to me, it's that something interesting happened there.
Yeah, and I think like for me with this film, it just wasn't the film for me. And a lot of my issues with the film is with the writing, right? So in this category, I'm just like, ugh. But like I understand and I agree that, you know, it's sparking conversation and we're having conversation about it. And what is art if not to do that? So shout out to you, Paul, I guess. And now we're going to move on. Now let's move on to writing of Best Original Screenplay. And the nominees for that...
You're excited, huh?
Very excited.
Yeah. Here you go. You're like, okay, the adapted one, PTA, you get it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Now
Bye.
let's talk about the one I want to talk about. Girl, can't wait to go to directing. Let's see. Yeah, can't wait. So yeah, who are the nominees?
The nominees for Best Original Screenplay are Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Might I say that this category is really exciting just because there's 2 international films in this category that I don't know that many people have seen. I think Sentimental Value has just been put onto streaming platforms. I think you can watch it on Hulu right now. And if you haven't, I totally recommend that you do. It Was Just an Accident is also now on Hulu, so you can watch that now. Again, if you haven't, you definitely should. That film, I'm not going to spoil it, but that film has one of the best endings of all time. It lives rent-free in my head. I can't get it out of my head. It's just truly fucking genius storytelling. The story behind that is also about how that film got made is also incredible. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the international feature category. But for this category specifically, Sinners has been dominating this category in award season. And it's inevitable that this is going to go to Ryan Coogler, which shout out to him. It should. Very excited for him to win this award. That's my heart pick and my reality pick.
I don't think there's a lot to say here.
Nope.
Like, I think it's just like, shout out to the other nominees, okay?
Yeah.
And like, honestly, Jafar Pani, like, let's go.
Yeah.
But how do I say this? I feel like whether it was just an accident, Sentimental Value. I haven't seen Blue Moon, so I can't say too much about it, but I feel like they were much closer to reality in a way, whereas like if we're gonna talk about like an original story, Sinners was like, I don't even, it's hard to categorize Sinners. It's very, very hard to categorize it in terms of genre. It's not easy. And to me, that's like, wow.
Yeah, and I think like, you know, it's like a musical, it's horror, it's drama, it's
a Western.
It's almost a Western.
Yeah.
I think it's dealing with such high concepts and the ideas in which Ryan is like playing with that, and these vampires, these Irish vampires, let's talk about that. These Irish vampires who are culturally appropriating, trying to steal the culture of Southern Black blues music. Like, I feel like a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, Sinners is such an overrated movie, it's not that great, it's da-da-da-da. I think if Sinners wasn't the movie for you, and I'm not going to say this in a like, I'm not trying to say this in an offensive way, but you just simply don't understand it. Like, I'm trying to be real about that.
I think it's super interesting you say that, actually, because I think you're right. Because my experience for Sinners has been like, I went to see it, I loved it. I was like, wow. And like most of the people in New York, when I talked about like Sinners, I mean, I didn't meet a lot of people that like didn't get it, didn't like it.
Yeah.
However, when I went back to like Paris and I started talking a lot about Sinners, there's some people that straight up were like, you know what? Maybe I missed it completely. I missed the mark, but like I don't get it.
Yeah.
And attention, there were some like French people, Europeans, like I'm not gonna be the representative that loved it, but I had a lot of people be like, I completely missed it. Yeah. And I think that's fine. Like I'm not,
And I think it's the perfect, like I'm not in the frame of mind that I have to understand everything that I view, because again, art is objective and I'm here to be submissive to this experience that this person is creating for me. Like, and that doesn't mean, I feel like especially Americans, a lot. We live in a world of having to understand everything that we come across. And I don't think that's the point. I think the point is the experience. And I think you viewing this, maybe not understanding and learning, because there's a lot that Ryan is putting into this film and the amount of time that he has in the writing of this and in the history of the Mississippi Delta culture and the culture of blues music and the culture of religion. Like, I can talk about this movie. Like, I have dissertations in my head about this movie, just from also the interest that I've studied growing up and learning about art, specifically Black art and the diaspora of that kind of art. I've been studying for a very long time. And I think that truly this flew over your head is because you don't have an understanding for that. And I think it's a very representative of how I think we approach Black culture as a whole, of misunderstanding and the appropriation of it and the lack of respect that it has as well. Yeah. So I'm very excited for Ryan Coogler to specifically get this nomination and to win for this nomination, because he will, and I'm claiming that.
And it's more than just the movie, you know, it's also like the contribution, like, and how important Sinners was this year for movie theater, for us as an industry, for what artists can hope and dream to do, for the hope that movies like that are completely original and that like barely have any antecedent can like still exist. I mean, it's insane in so many ways, right? Yeah. I think just part of like what you were saying about not understanding it, for me it's interesting because I see that as like in the context of America, you know, that's like, you're right. Like there is, from my experience, okay, I moved here like 10 years ago, there is like America's weird, you know? No, I mean, I am sorry, but it's weird. It's weird. And when we talk about Black culture, you know, there's obviously a reverence to it in some ways, you know, which like, it's very easy to see, you know, what makes money here, right? Yeah. But at the same time, like a blatant disrespect for it, right? Yeah. But when I talk about it from like a point of view of like, let's say, European audience, I think that like the 10 years I've lived here changed me as an audience member. Yeah. And I honestly, I'm sure I would have like loved Sinners because of so many ways if I hadn't moved here. But I think there are some things that I would have been less sensitive to and understood less just because of the point of view, the context, and obviously the culture, the knowledge. Yes, but it's just something that was different. So I don't know. Something interesting there. We'll see.
Very interesting. And I'm excited to see his speech for this too. Mm-hmm. Like, especially at this moment of even the Warner Brothers Paramount merger. I'm going to keep bringing this up, but like for him to strike that deal, right? Like there was not a more perfect moment for him to strike the deal that he got than right now for this movie. So shout out to him and to his wife, Zinzi, and the producer of the movie. Like, just truly, that's kind of like I feel in this industry. I remember going to film school and being in my producing classes and being like, these are the things that I'm standing firm on, and that if I'm met with a producer or a studio, that I'm not budging on, because this is essential to the project. And for them to do that and to have an example of like, this is possible, you can get this, is like, it's very inspirational, you know, and hopefully achievable maybe in the next 20, 30 years.
Yes, we believe, you know.
Okay, moving on, let's talk about directing. So in this category, we have Hamnet, Chloe Zhao, Marty Supreme, Josh Shafty, One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson, Sentimental Value, Joachim Trier, and Sinners, Ryan Coogler. As far as this category in the award circuit, One Battle After Another has been dominating.
One Battle After Another has been
She's been the golden child in this category, and most likely Paul Thomas Anderson will be winning for Best Director here. So, yeah.
Which I think he deserves.
Yeah.
Which I think he deserves, you know, like it's... Honestly, I think that, like, it's overdue. I think that There Will Be Blood, like, that was his, you know, controversial what I'm saying. Yes. But I think it was his, and I think that, like, I don't know, I think it's time. I think it's PTA's time, and I know we disagree on One Battle After Another, but I still think it's, like, quite the achievement. Yeah. You know?
I think it's so funny because I do think that the Oscars has a history of just snubbing people, so now they have to give the makeup award, for lack of a better term. And One Battle After Another is like a representative film of the time of 2025, of this moment. I also think about that hill scene all of the time. I think it was a beautiful, like, it lives rent free in my head. I will never get it out. It's something that will always forever stay with me. And I think, like, you know, for that to come from him is like, it's incredible. Like, there's I don't disagree with every single thing about that movie. I do have feelings, again, that we will discuss at a later date.
No, you know, I think he's one of the most important filmmakers of our time, honestly. And I think that there are, you know, with Academy Awards, but like, honestly, more with Cannes. I think that there are such things as like makeup awards. I think that One Battle After Another is not like a makeup award. I think it's not the type of movie for me that constitutes into a makeup award, just because of like whether one resonates with it or not, like the craft behind it. And if we're gonna talk about directing, right? Directing, wow.
I mean, and to say that, you know, Chase Infinity holding her own with some huge decorated actors in that, I think is also a testament to the directing. Like, I do think that the film was very well directed. Yes.
But, you know, Ryan Coogler, we love you. Like, big time. Like, we love you. And, like, here's the thing for me. PTA, it's like, let's give it to this man. Ryan Coogler, Sinners, wow. I know you're about to bring so much more. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, again, like, it's just the beginning for Ryan Coogler. I'm not saying that PTA is at the end. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a different sentiment. I think there are different points in their career. And I think that, like, Ryan Coogler up until now has done like very big commercial movies apart from his debut, and Sinners was one of the moments where like he gets to go to another level. He earned a new type of freedom, you know, in his filmmaking career. That's why I'm saying let's see. Whereas PTA, I think, has been allowed that freedom earlier. So that's why it's like different stage of the career. And Chloe Zhao, we love you.
We love you. I was just about to say.
Yeah, we love you,
Chloe, like, girl, if you were to win this award, I would not be mad at you.
Yeah, I would not be mad. I'd be completely fine about it.
I'd be really fine about it.
Yeah, I'd be fine about it. Like,
I think, like, yeah, just even hearing her talk about how she directed this film, and like, if you haven't seen this film, it's a heavy one. It's about grief and just how she conducted her set and like taking care of her actors and just like navigating them through this very, and you feel it in the film, this very like spiritual, still film. It's a beautiful testament of moving through life with grief, like moving through it, not like stopping or forgetting it. But I think she's just amazing, and I also would hope that she gets more opportunities to make more Hamlets in this lifetime, because we need them. We need you.
Well,
Chloe.
she's making Dracula, actually.
Oh my god,
2023.
That's so fun.
She's writing. No, hear that? She's writing, directing, whatever, the entire movie, and it's gonna be a sci-fi western.
Oh my god, Dracula. I'm seated, girl.
A sci-fi western.
I'm seated. I'm ready for it.
I'm excited, Chloe. Like, Chloe, we love you. And by the way, I will say officially to whoever said that this movie was like grief porn, like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
At all.
What we said earlier with like, I'm sorry, but you just missed it. You fucking missed it. Or worse, you're a rage baiter. And like, get the fuck away, okay? Yeah. So that, and you know, still shout out to like my European like compatriot Joachim Trier. Love you, dude. Like, honestly, simply enough for the performers that you put on a stage for the world to discover. Simply for that, thank you. Your contribution is invaluable, and like, you're kind of like a little bit the underdog of the whole thing at this point. And like, I love you.
Yeah, I think this is such a strong category. Like, I've seen all of these films, and like, it's an amazing category, and I think it's like everybody.
You're all winners, baby.
You're all winners. You're all winners for being nominated. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, like, you get to make a living out of like making movies. Like, you're already a winner, right? So at this point, it's like,
at the end of the day, you know, we're not saving lives. We're just making art.
movies saved my life. So, and like, I'm not even being cheesy about it.
Okay, I think we kind of set this next category up perfectly well to discuss. Let's talk about Best Picture. Let's just get to it.
Let's talk about it.
Well, let's get into
and
it.
I'll say it right now. You'll say the nominees, and that's fine. There's one movie I refuse to talk about. Okay? So now we're just not gonna do. Please announce the nominees, and I'll let you guess.
Okay, we have Begonia, we have F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. Now, this is an interesting category.
There's like 21 nominees.
Well, Best Picture is always like 10 nominees. Is it 10 one?
Wait, was Yorgos nominated for like Best Director?
No, he wasn't. He was not.
That's insane.
He wasn't.
I think that's very interesting to like, maybe they should nominate less Best Pictures, honestly.
Well, they expanded Best Picture from 5 to 10 to also congratulate, like box office achievement, to give like the blockbusters some love in this category.
But they create a new category because Best Picture is the Producer Award. We all know that, right? Because like producers cannot win Academy Awards, right? There's no category, but when you win Best Picture, the person that goes on that stage and get it is the producer, right?
Yeah.
Just create a new category.
I mean, I don't want a box office achievement award. I wouldn't care about that, to be real.
Oh, really?
No,
would you not?
No, I wouldn't.
Would you not want to give a little gold statue to the movie
that made the most money?
That made people like go to the movie theater? Because those people can be streamers don't reveal how much they make.
That's true.
So their movie can be nominated. So when we talk about box office today versus 20 years ago, we talk about those movies that made people pay for a ticket and that kept the lights on, right?
Yeah.
See? It's tricky, right?
That's
tricky because we don't want to reward the most money until the money keeps the lights on and we're there, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why you have certain films in this category that I will not name.
No, there's some we're not talking about it.
But I mean, that's kind of like the lay of the land of this category of why it's so big. And a lot of these films do have nominations in other categories. Most of them do. But let's just get to the nitty-gritty of it. The two films that are dominating and like head-to-head that are teetering on the spot for this award is One Battle After Another and Sinners. Straight up. Like, I don't think anybody really else is competing.
Yes, I think the little surprise would be Hamnet.
Yes.
I think Hamnet has a little bit of a chance.
It has. If I'm going to rank them, I think I would do, you're not going to like, I'm going to do Sinners. One Battle After Another, Hamnet would be my top 3.
What part do I not like?
Me putting Sinners first.
I put Sinners first for Best Picture too.
You do?
1000%.
Okay, why? Tell me.
To me, Sinners is Best Pictures, like, hands down. Because, like, again, like, we just talked about Best Directing, and I told you why I think this way, and I think it's deserved, and there's the movie, but then you gotta take each nomination individually. To me, right? Is the way I see it.
Yeah.
Sinners deserves Best Picture for so many reasons. One, simply as a movie, like artistically what it did. I mean, it's incredible. Like the cinematography of it, the way we are not talking about scoring as a category right now, but the way the score was written hand in hand with the movie is insane, The performers, twins, an original story. And also, like, I mean, talk about an underdog. Sinners was released at a time where it was make or break. There are not many movies that come out so early in the race and that, like, are still on people's mind at this point. For me, the glaring examples is like The Silence of the Lambs managed to do that.
Yeah.
Most movies can't, right? So there's that. Then there's the fact of what that movie represents for us in our industry and the deal that Ryan Coogler managed to strike with Warner Brothers at the time with having his rights coming back to him. Yeah. That alone, that's incredible. That sets precedent. Okay, that there's a before and there's an after.
I mean, but there's, just to clarify, because I know that this conversation around this deal has been being had for a while now. His deal was not
the first one.
The first one.
Yes.
It wasn't precedent in the fact that it was the first to ever happen. It's just the first to ever happen to somebody who looks like him. Let's be clear about that. And
at that particular time.
And at that particular time.
For this particular movie.
Yes, for this particular movie. And he asked, and he knew that going into what this movie was about, the cultural appropriation around it, all of the concepts and ideas that were in this movie, he said, I need to have this deal for this movie. And it makes complete sense for him to do that, for him to own this thing that he made, that is exploring these themes of race and culture and ownership and freedom in this industry. This film is, I don't know, it's just like, it's coming at such a pinnacle time of like, what does it mean to, I feel like, enact as a free body, an independent body making films in this industry at this point in time. And also to just be representative of this time as a whole, of how hard it is to get into this industry, how hard it is to make a movie, how hard it is to, I think a testament of Best Picture to me is obviously the elements of the cinematography and the writing and the acting, but also I think a testament to you as a director being able to champion such an amazing team around a film. And the moment that it left with people, like, me being that I've gone to see this movie 5 times and not having an issue anytime to give Ryan Coogler my money at all. And the moment that I think it created for a community, for the Black community, but also just a community of film goers, and what can be asked for in this industry at this time. Maybe not at this time right now with Warner and Paramount looming above us all, but for there to be more opportunities for filmmakers like Ryan Coogler to have an opportunity to make original IP, and for that IP to get the budget that it deserves, and for you to trust filmmakers like Ryan Coogler to make stories that are successful, that are box office hits. Ryan Coogler has, cemented himself as a box office hit maker.
Which, is interesting, because what I'm going to say, obviously that's just my opinion, right? But what's funny is that if we're going to talk about Best Picture, it's really Sinners versus One Battle After Another, right? Yeah. Which are part of the same slate, of the same Warner slate, right?
Yes, it is.
But what's interesting is that, maybe I'm wrong, but I think I can say that I'm pretty sure that Ryan Coogler, box office-wise, has made way more money over his career than PTA,
yes,
right?
Yes.
However, Sinners was a double or nothing. This movie needed to make money.
Yep.
One Battle After Another was never made to make money.
Yep.
Never. It was never going to make money. How much they put in marketing, it was not supposed to make money. And you know what? When it didn't, no one was surprised. It didn't fail. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is that you have two filmmakers, that are both, in different stages of their career, but in the same way at similar stages. You know what I'm saying? There's not one that just arrived and one that has been doing that for 20 years, right? They've both been at it for a while, both part of the same slate. And that's why I'm saying right now, if we're talking about Best Picture, and they have so much in common, also we talked about it with cinematography, the different viewing experiences, they are, in a way, well, they are cousins, right? They're part of the same slate. They are.
They literally are.
For me, Best Picture right now, if we're going to talk about an achievement, if we're going to really talk about someone that already making movies a miracle, and this guy expected for triple, quadruple, rainbow and unicorn to happen, and you know what? And it did. Yeah. And that's why, to me, why he delivered. Yep. He delivered in a way that, art, filmmaking, being an actor, anything, you know what? You're constantly fighting against being embarrassing and embarrassment. And the truth is, Sinners, if not done the right way, could have been ridiculous. Yeah. But damn, it was done in a beautiful, masterful way. You know, and for me, that's why I'm give it all the way. So I did like what you have to say, and I agree. Okay,
and as far as people, the battle for this, as far as the awards, the award circuit for this season, and also the Guild Awards. The PGAs are usually definite predictory winner. Whoever wins the PGA award typically does win the Best Picture award. They've been aligned for 17 of the past 22 years. So last year, Nora won at the PGAs, and then it won Best Picture at the Oscars. But there has been, obviously, exceptions to that rule. La La Land won the PGA, but did not win the Best Picture at the Oscars. We all know who did. And then also in 2020, Parasite won the Oscar, and it didn't win the PGA award. So there obviously are always exceptions to the rules. And then again, with Sinners, it won Box Office Achievement at the Golden Globes. It also won Best Ensemble at the SAG, which are also predictors for who could win Best Picture. And I think those films that have those wins in those categories are usually aligned of who's going to win Best Picture. So it's really like half and half of like who's still there. I know I agree. We agree that it's Sinners, but there is still a chance for one battle after another to win.
But I think we're not too far off from a La La Land Moonlight situation. Even though it's so different, I think because PTA is going to get the director, Sinners going to get
Best Picture.
Yeah.
And again,
I think I would vote that way too.
Me too.
I think I'd be like, that's fair.
And I think, I mean, I would vote Ryan Coogler for directing.
You're like, wait, I just want to make it clear.
I'm just like, Sinners across the board, all 16 nominations. It wins all 16. But I think like Sinners is probably going to be taking home 8 to 9 of its nomination categories. That's the hope.
I think Warner is going to be very happy.
Regardless, because it has...
Warner and Paramount then, I guess. Yeah. I think they're going to be very, very happy.
All right, let's talk international feature film. So the nominees here are The Secret Agent from Brazil, It Was Just an Accident from France, Sentimental Value from Norway, Surat from Spain, and The Voice of Hindrajab from Tunisia. Now, when I say from, not all of these movies are from these countries. It's just the country that decided to enter this film as the representative of their nation. But some of these movies, like I believe Surat wasn't shot in Spain actually. But
yeah, it was shot in Morocco.
It was shot in Morocco, yeah.
Or it was just an accident.
So just clarifying on how this category works, because a lot of times, you know, there's international films like It Was Just an Accident was shot in Iran, but France does this a lot, and other countries do it a lot too, of where they submit films that are produced by French producers or et cetera, to then submit.
Or It Was Just an Accident is obviously an Iranian film, but it was shot illegally.
Yes,
you know?
in Iran.
Yeah, they hid the production of the movie. The entire crew and cast fit in 2 cars, and then they edited the movie in France.
Yes.
Which is why I think France claimed it. And
yeah. And Iran wouldn't have submitted that film on behalf of that country at the time.
But they're waiting for him to go to jail.
Yes.
So,
no.
yeah. No, 100%.
Well, we can talk about It Was Just an Accident. It's such a... Again, this is one of my favorite films that I saw last year. It has an ending that, again, lives rent-free in my head. There's a tension in this movie that you feel throughout the whole time, and it just continues to, like, keep it there at the end. And it's just so brilliant. I loved it so much.
The subject matter is quite grim, you know?
Yes.
I mean, it's the story of someone who recognizes the voice of someone who tortured them, basically, and spend the whole movie trying to decide if it's them or not and what they're going to do about it.
Yep.
Pretty grim. Yet, it's a pretty funny movie. Like, I've laughed quite a bit, you know, and the situation, no matter how horrible, can be filled with humors in ways that you didn't think was possible, which was true also of, you know, No Other Choice, like the Park Chan-wook movie, which
was absolutely snubbed in this category.
Should have been in this category,
Absolutely
which is why he's never been nominated. Park
Yes.
Chan-wook, never.
And that blows my mind because he's like the cream of the crop of a filmmaker and a craftsman when it comes to film. Like if you haven't seen The Handmaiden, Old Boy
all the way. I follow I carry the trauma that Old Boy gave me like a badge of honor.
They really, I don't know why the Academy doesn't like it's just simply at this point it's like you don't like him, and I don't know why. Shout out to Neon for their fucking fuck your consideration billboard that they put up in somewhere in LA, like, because at this point where he is at his career, it just simply doesn't make any sense. Like
yeah, but you know, to be honest, I feel like, because you just mentioned Neon, like Neon and this category, they're intimately linked.
Yes.
I mean, the whole, you know, thing of Neon is like we'll pick up movies in different languages with subject matters that like are not the most mainstream, right? But if you look at the list of the nominees,
how many of them are Neon? Let me see.
Quite a bit.
I think all of them except for maybe The Voice of Hindrajab. That's they're dominating. They've been dominating the international film category for a while. And I'm just grateful as somebody who thoroughly enjoys international film. Like, thanks to Neon, like, this is accessible to American audiences. Granted, like, we live in New York, so the accessibility of international film is, like, we're really privileged to be able to watch a lot of international films in the theaters. But, like, if you are not, a lot of these are still had pretty decent distribution throughout the United States. And a lot of these now you can find, like, I think The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, and It Was Just an Accident are all on Hulu right now. So if you haven't watched them, I 10 out of 10 recommend that you watching them. They were some of my favorite this year, for sure.
I mean, I think we definitely had something that was very interesting this year. And, just to wrap up with Neon, I mean, they redistributed Oldboy, they acquired the rights, and they redistributed it last year, which I thought was amazing. But I guess the one thing about this category that is important is that when we talk about other categories and the movies that are nominated, odds are, if you like movies, you're going to see them regardless, right? But here, I think it would be interesting in this category. We'll talk about a winner, right? But forget about that for a second, because I think it's tough to do if people had to watch one movie. Make the effort for one movie that's not in English or for my French companions in French. What is it? What should they watch if they have to pick one?
I think I'm going to be a little bit biased because I've only seen 3 of the 5 movies in this category. I think I really, really want to go see both Seurat and The Voice of Henry Job.
Yeah.
As far as, my heart is saying everybody should go watch The Voice of Henry Job, just because this is a film that I think is very, not that they're not all very present as far as politically what's happening in the world. This is also, I believe the only film in this category directed by a woman. So I'm always stand that. And she's also an amazing person from what I've seen of her campaign tour for this film. But as far as I would say the most accessible film of the ones that I saw, I would say The Secret Agent. It's a brilliant film, first of all, and it's such a huge tale. And it's also just it's a fun film, even with this political tension that is happening in the film. And it's very much this on the run, this fugitive tale. But because in Brazil at the time, the government was corrupt. And so in the newspapers, from which I learned from this film, but also reading up about this film, the newspaper and outlets were being censored. So when something would happen and they couldn't report it directly, they would come up with these grandiose tales of this missing leg that's attacking people and da-da-da-da, as a sign of being oh, bad things are happening in our government and in our society right now, but we can't tell you exactly. We can't report on it, honestly, in journalism. I think as we're talking about the Warner and Paramount merger and a certain group of people owning all types of media, I think this film is so apropos to what's happening right now as far as censorship. It's so apropos of what's happening as far as the consequences of speaking out. It's also just a beautifully done film with all of the big risks that it takes. And Wagner Moore, oh my God, he's phenomenal. One of my favorite people ever. I would definitely recommend that you see The Secret Agent. It's just such a, it's what, to me, is the essence of what film is supposed to be. It's fun, but it's educational, and you really just dive into this world in a beautiful way. I have such a large respect for Brazilian cinema and just Brazilian culture. So I 10 out of 10 recommend this film.
Okay, that's pretty good recommendation. I'll see it again. I think for me, if I had to pick one this year, honestly, I think I would pick It Was Just an Accident. I think it's a good blend because, again, when you approach certain subjects, torture and pain and trauma, right? Whichever way you put it. It's tough to have an audience sit through this, no matter how good of a filmmaker you are in the story. And yet, he did it, Jeff Arpani. He did. I don't know how, but it's so simple. And yet you laugh and you understand and you doubt and you go through, all of those emotions that all the characters, because it's an ensemble cast, go through. I think it's quite accessible. And if we talk about, cinema and what cinema can be, especially today, the movie itself,
yes,
there's so much to talk about. The making of this movie, why this movie was made, the risk that, the filmmaker, the cast, the crew took. I mean, to me, it's a great way to start off. And especially, with what's going on right now, I think, get into Brazilian cinema, yes, get into Iranian cinema. Iranian cinema is wonderful, and a great way to start is with this movie, and honestly, all of Jeff Arpani's filmography is a great way to start. And, just for laughs. I feel like if you take all the categories this year, you know, all movies, one way to like, obviously it doesn't apply to everything, but to divide is if it's either movies about parents that shouldn't have abandoned their kids, or like it's literally that, you know, should have stayed around, usually fathers, or about like government failure and war crimes, and there's literally no in between. There's no in between,
and that's why it's so crazy, because literally, and I do have a few, just a general Oscars, you know, like I'm generally not very aligned with everything that is nominated at the Oscars. I do think that they miss a lot of the time. But this year, between these last few years, I've watched so many fucking movies. And when I say I think the Oscars nominations this year were like fucking spot on, man. Like, did they miss a few that I think should have been in there? Absolutely, they always do. But this year, especially in the international category, like, good fucking job. Like, it's really like, no, like it's a great, these 5 are a great select of films.
Yeah, I agree. Park Chan-wook is a crime. It's a crime.
Such a crime.
No, man, I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous.
And even just going back to It Was Just an Accident, like, the performances in this film, knowing how they got the script. So essentially the actors didn't get the full script for this because Jafar Penney was fearful that if they were to be stopped by the police, they didn't want the full script there to like further complicate the situation or get them all in trouble. So the actors were given a plot outline of the different scenes, and it had no detailed dialogue. They were given the dialogue the day of, while he was directing. So like they were very much similar to Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Sentimental value, like, you know,
different way.
Like just being thrown in there, and like, man, does he direct the shit out of these actors, and man, do they give an incredible performance. Yeah, you know, Miriam Afashari, excuse me if I'm pronouncing your last name right.
Yeah, she was exceptional.
She was exceptional in this film. Like, the casting of this film, if It Was Just an Accident as an ensemble could be nominated for the casting category, I think that this was also a valid film to be nominated. I just think that this movie would not be anything without its ensemble, and it just is so deserving of all of the praise.
I think already, you know, I feel like I say this a lot, but I truly believe that making a movie in so many ways, you know, is a miracle. That movie is literally a miracle.
Yes.
I mean, right before Jafar Penney had to leave, you know, to do the post-production of the movie in France, which he had never done before, by the way. Like, they got arrested by the police, okay? They realized that they were making a film, but the thing is the police took the camera and not the hard drives and the computers. So they thought they took the movie, but they misunderstood basically the way our job works.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Can you imagine? Like, we would have never seen this movie. We would never even heard about it. It's
that would have been a crime. It would have been a crime. I think especially everything that
I know
has been happening in Iran for a while, but especially right now, I think, like, if you really want to get a sense of the people there and what they are going through, and even like the story behind this movie, and then the story of this movie in and of itself, it's just it's why I love international film. Like, it exposes you to what is happening on other corners of the world and why it's important. Like, anything that is happening somewhere else in the world, especially in the Middle East, America has an influence on it. And, you know, you should be educated on how this can also happen to you. Like, you know, we're never that far off than what you think we are. Like, the empire is crumbling, fascism is at our necks, and like, it's such an inspiration to have a director who believes so much in the stories that they're telling and what they want to deliver the world with this story. So
it's always been a debate, you know, but especially this year, I think the conversation is like louder than it's been like for a while. The fact that like, is art and is cinema like political? Are they, right? And I think, without giving a firm answer, because I think the moment you give a firm answer, you're missing the point. You know, that's my belief, right? But I think, especially if we're talking about this category, you don't have to be a political filmmaker. Sometimes just the act of making a movie, the act of like being a certain person, telling a certain story at a certain time, that is political. And, you know, when you see a movie like It Was Just an Accident, at the end of the day, again, you've seen that movie, you haven't seen that movie, the fact that that movie exists is political.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm also so excited about the Oscars this year in a way that I haven't been, because I do feel like all of the films are dealing with a lot of the things that are pressing our current world and our current society, and, you know, have been sparking so many different needed, necessary conversations, you know? And I feel like, I hope if you watch these films, any of the films in this international film category, but also just like a lot of the films that have been nominated this year, that you engage in those conversations with like openness and just like curiosity. You know, I'm not saying, oh, you don't have to, because you're not political, you're bad. Like, no, I think people see being political as a bad thing, especially in under this current administration and in this current world, but it's not a bad thing. It's just something that is uncomfortable. So I implore you and I challenge you to live in that uncomfortability and to be open and to have curiosity about things that you don't know about. And that's okay. Like, you know, I am open to having these conversations and, you know, to continue to have these conversations on the show. So yeah, that's my soapbox for today.
I think it's fair, and I think, you know, also, I think the tension, and again, it's very, very personal, right? But I think part of the issue is people are afraid of having those conversations because somehow we've tricked people thinking there's a right way and a wrong way of expressing yourself. But the truth is, there are very, very few people that have the background, the knowledge, and the education to be able to express themselves like accurately about certain subject. The rest is like, it's literally politics. Like, politics is just public life and talking. That's literally what it means, you know? And for me, we talked about Paramount, we talked about Warner, and part of what scares people, right, is that maybe we'll have less points of views that are represented. That's my point.
I agree with you, but back to the international
back to the international feature. Listen,
but yeah, in this category, I have no idea who's gonna win. As far as like during the award season circuit, The Secret Agent won twice, at the Golden Globes and at the Critics' Choice Award, where they gave the award to the director on the carpet, and it was just so rude and disrespectful. I did not like that. Respect Brazil. And then at the BAFTAs, Sentimental Value won. I would say that Sentimental Value, just the way that it is kind of, both the Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent, I think, are the dominant films in this category, just as they're kind of like scattered throughout a little bit other nominees in the Oscars. I believe Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent are both nominated for Best Picture.
All three of them, and it was just an accident too.
It's just an accident. Was not nominated for Best Picture. It's just The Secret Agent and Sentimental Value.
That's crazy to me. That's insane.
It was an accident. I would have loved it to be there instead of maybe another film that I will not name. But
we refuse to talk about that.
We refuse to talk about that film. But I do think that, well, my heart pick is The Secret Agent because, again, I believe in the power of Brazil. But I think that Sentimental Value might actually take this home just because of the way that the film has been campaigned. So we'll see. Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to go to The Secret Agent. I would like it to be... It was just an accident.
Yeah.
But for so many reasons, you know, and also you know as well as I do that when you have a win, it impacts viewership.
Yeah, it does.
Whichever movie will win for Best International Feature, if there's one movie people are going to pick to see, it's going to be that one.
Yeah, I do think that's true.
Because at least you get to say, well, I saw like the movie that won, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I hope it's that, especially right now, you know, and especially the fact that if you talk about the two other movies that we're talking about right now, The Secret Agent and Sentimental Value, they both have big stars.
Yeah,
people will come around to them eventually. I mean, come on, Jafar Pani, like, give it to him. Give it to him.
Well, we don't know. I think voting ended again this
last Thursday,
March 5th. We don't know. I do think that sometimes I feel like in the international film category, the film that was most seen usually wins this category. Like, of all like The Secret Agent had a very long distribution window in theaters, and then it was put onto streaming. Same thing with Sentimental Value. So I think like there's more opportunities to see it. I think Sentimental Value recently got onto streaming, but you know, of those films, like those were the two that I think were more also accessible to the voting body outside of like the Oscars domain. But
that's my theory too. My theory is that when you look at the Oscar race, I think that if you manage to make a splash at Cannes,
yeah, that's true.
Usually you have a better chance. I mean, look at like Anora and The Substance.
Yeah.
You know, they both did, and here we have It Was Just an Accident was the Palme d'Or, and Sentimental Value, if I'm not wrong, was the Prix du Jury, like the jury prize or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what is more accessible, honestly.
If It Was Just an Accident wins, if The Secret Agent wins, I'd be very happy, you know, regardless.
Like, here's my thing. Sentimental Value. I love this movie. Watch this movie. This movie's great, okay? Like, Joaquin Trier, like, love you.
Yeah.
Big
amazing.
time. Let's go. But I think that Sentimental Value would be seen more regardless that it was just an accident or even The Secret Agent. Yeah. The Secret Agent, the one reason why I'm like less people will see it is because it's long. It's
really it is long. A long film.
I rescheduled it, watching it 3 times because I was a little tired. I was like, I can't do this right now.
It's a long film, but you know, it's one of those films. Yeah, when you're in it, you don't really feel it. You don't feel how long it is. So I hope that didn't discourage you. I do think that if a long film to me, if I don't feel every minute and it earns every minute, it's worthy of being that long. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
It's not a film that you're just like, oh my, like it's a film to me, I didn't want it to end.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, that discouraged me twice because I was tired.
Yeah.
But here we go.
Well, we'll see. That was our coverage for the Oscars.
Wow.
We're going to take a little break, but then we'll talk about what we're watching. All right, so what we were watching this week. So we both watched The Bone Temple. And let me say, I love this film as a whole. Like, loved this film. But there is one scene in this film that I will not spoil that is worth every cent that I paid for it. It is so good. Like, shout out to, what is his name? Ralph Fiennes, I believe is that
Oh,
first
girl,
name?
I cannot. Ralph Fiennes. I've been saying it wrong for years, and I love this fucking guy. When I had to talk about Conclave last year, I avoided saying, I called him Ralph. I think it's the best way.
Ralph, you are truly a star. And also shout out to Nia DaCosta, who directed this film.
Yes.
She also directed Hedda. I think she released 2 films last year. It was Hedda and it was The Bone Temple. Both fire. This film is so
literally fire.
Good. This film is so good. You can find it on TVOD platforms right now. So Apple TV, Amazon, YouTube. If you want to watch it, I think you can rent it or you can buy it. I would buy it personally. I will watch this film 10 times over and over again if I could.
I would like to say that in this episode you've said that, and you also said that you want to see Sinners in all the different way you can see. Basically what I'm hearing is you're leaving your entire paycheck at the movie theater, and we love to hear that.
That is true. Me and AMC, we go together real bad, okay?
Girl, like I'm a walking ad for goddamn AMC. Like whenever people are like, it's so expensive, I'm like, did you know?
Are you an A-list member?
Girl, also, do you know that like now they're gonna save the best seats for A-list members?
Oh.
Like you won't be able. Anyways, I'm not talking about this unless my subscription is free AMC.
Yeah,
like I'm sorry,
you
I'm not
gotta
doing
sponsor the podcast. Okay,
but just bouncing back on The Bone Temple, I will just say, fire. That movie was great. If you love like the 28 days, years, weeks, it's like it's a trilogy / like
it's the
more
franchise.
Than that.
Yeah, the franchise.
It was great. The last one that came out this summer, if you've seen it, this one's better.
Yes.
So I would recommend that. My one disclaimer that I will make, and I will make it right now, is I made the mistake of seeing it at the Alamo. For whoever doesn't know what the Alamo Drafthouse is, it's like this theater where you can eat at the same time. Huge mistake, okay? The huge mistake, the first 10 minutes of the movie. Girl, I thought I was gonna pass out, which, by the way, little gore, that movie. Little gore, and gore in a way that I hadn't seen in a while for a movie that's supposed to touch such a large audience. I loved it. I loved it. I'm like, go back into shocking me, like, you know, but just saying do not eat at the same time, like, that was really, like, not smart.
Yeah. So 10 out of 10 recommend. Let us know if you watch it. Moving
on.
on.
No. I one thing because I want to commit to it right now because we're in March. This year, October, I'm gonna be Jimmy in Halloween. That's my Halloween costume.
God,
I'm gonna be Jimmy. Yeah, I want to be Jimmy. I love that character. Are you kidding me? And for whoever doesn't know, like Jimmy is played. You'll see. You have to see it to get the joke. If not, like fuck you. But it's played by Jack O'Connell, who's also in Sinners and is wonderful.
Yes.
And it's like he's here. I love him. For whoever like doesn't know who Jack O'Connell is, if you've seen Skins, the UK version, which
my God, I forgot that he was in that.
The best actors came out of fucking Skins UK. Thank you, casting director of Skins UK. We love you. Well, anyways. Love Jack O'Connell, 100% I'm Jimmy this year. So be ready, stay tuned.
Oh my God.
Girl, that's what I'm so ready. Like, I'm gonna be that princess. I can't wait.
Yeah. This movie was like highly not marketed enough, but it's like, it's really worth the time. So yeah, please go see it. My pick of the week also, I got to see My Father's Shadow in the theater. It's still in theaters and it's actually having like a slow limited release across America right now. Right now, it's in a lot of major cities, so California, Chicago, New York, North Carolina, New Jersey, and then it's going to start spreading out to, like, Washington, Ohio, Indiana, and all those places, starting, like, I believe the end of this week, so this weekend. It's coming to Atlanta, my hometown, March 20th, so check it out there. My Father's Shadow. My Father's Shadow is about two young brothers exploring Lagos with their estranged father during the 1993 Nigerian election crisis, witnessing both the city's magnitude and their father's daily struggles as political unrest threatens their journey home. Now, this film, I really knew nothing about it going into it. This film premiered at Cannes, I believe, and it won the Director's Fortnight Award. It's truly, I know I've already said this episode, but it's truly everything that I want film to be, and I think that it should be. It's like the best what if movie I have seen in a really long time. And it's also just like the director, NouLa Davis Jr., was like, this is a Nigerian film. It's an indie, but he's like, he has big respect for Nigeria, big respect for Nollywood. And he was like, this was made by the craftsmen and filmmakers that work in the Nollywood industry. So this is a Nollywood film. And for him to even say that, he also won the BAFTA for this film, for original screenplay. It's just like one of my favorite things that I've seen in the theater in a really long time. It literally broke my heart, but it also has so many joyful, beautiful moments, especially of Nigeria and of Lagos. So if you love Nigerian cinema, if you don't know Nigerian cinema, I 10 out of 10 recommend you watch this film. You can find it in theaters, and it's also coming to Amazon probably by the end of March. So yeah, that's my pitch.
Oh, I thought that was a really good one. I was like, I'm going to leave right now and go watch it.
Yes.
Okay, so my pitch is like different. My thing, I saw Nirvana the band the show, which we'll talk about like next time, but just like very very quickly, the movie's as crazy as the title. Nirvana the band the show, the movie. For whoever's not familiar with Nirvana the band the show, it was a web series.
Yes.
Nirvana the band the show used to be a web series, and then it got picked up by Vice and became a show, and then stopped and now became a movie. So it's very very hard to pitch that movie or the show, and I'm not really gonna try to. I think you should just see it. But basically it's a chaotic meta comedy about two guys trying to finally play a show in a certain venue in Toronto. That's the entire show, that's the entire movie, and that's every single episode. And you know what? It's amazing. The director, Matt Johnson, is pretty interesting because he's one of the two actors in it, and he's also directed Blackberry, the movie, and he's directing the upcoming Anthony Bourdain biopic.
Yes.
Which I cannot wait for. But they're very interesting filmmakers. Like you just said, this is what I want films to be.
Yeah.
For me, this guy and Jay McCarroll, who he did the show with and the movie with, those are two guys, two Canadians, that started their career like doing like guerrilla filmmaking, sneaking into like real locations. Like they figured out like the best way to use fair use and mix like reality with like scripted chaos.
Yeah.
Then they succeeded, and most Canadian filmmakers that succeed leave Canada, okay? They go to Hollywood, they don't stay. Like, and whoever's offended in whatever I just said, prove me wrong, okay? Prove me wrong, but not them. They stayed, and they're still making like Canadian movies and Canadian projects, you know, which is quite impressive. And the fact of thinking that Matt Johnson, he made Blackberry, he had all the success in the world. They were like, we'll make anything you want. And he was like, okay, remember Nirvana, the band, the show? Let's make the movie. And guys, it's insane. It's really, really insane. I can't pitch it too much because I feel like I would ruin it. There are just some movies that like are very hard to pitch. And you know, if you don't see the movie, I beg you, see the show, okay? I see the show somehow. It's great. And we'll talk about it more like next episode, but that's definitely my peak.
Yeah, next episode, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
Which, by the way, again, shout out to Neon, okay? Shout out to Neon to acquiring those rights and putting them at the Alamo. And this one you can eat watching it. You know,
a joy.
Yeah, a joy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah, that's it. If you love hearing us yap, we'll yap way more next time.
Yeah, next time we'll talk about all the things we're watching. We might get into the sinners in one battle after another, foreshadowing that we have been talking about this episode, because there will be winners and there will be losers, so there will be much more to talk about. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye, I guess. Okay. Adios.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Screening List. If you love the show, you can follow us on Instagram at The Screening List.
This show is produced by VoxFilms and NouLa Productions. Our audio editor is Chloe O'Donnell. Cover art designed by Griffin Reynolds. And original music by Evan B.